In this video, you're going to learn how to create arrays from other objects in ES6. So in ES6, you can create an array from objects which are similar to arrays, like strings, collections, and so on. So these objects, they are similar to arrays because they have a length property, and they may also have element indexing, or they may not. All right. So first, let's understand why you would need to create arrays from such objects, and then after that we're going to have a few examples where we're going to create arrays from collections, strings, functions, and so on. So you're going to have a few HTML elements which you're going to use later. So you've got a few divs here with a class blue which you're going to use at some point to create a collection. So for now, let's understand why we need to create arrays from other objects. So let's create an array to start. And let's explore some of the methods of the array objects that you wouldn't find in a collection or a string, for example. So a good example of that is the map function. So you can create a new array out of this array using the map function. And if you remember, you pass a function to the map function or the map method. So let's say that we're going to pass a function that returns the x multiplied by 2. And now you get 2, 4, and 6. So we took that array, we used the map method, and we applied this function to the elements of the array, and we created a new array. Now, if we try the map method with a string, for example, unfortunately, it is not going to work. So if you log x dot map, you get undefined, meaning that map is not attached to a string. But if you log the array dot map, you get a function because the function does exist for an array. So to use the map method with a string in ES5, we had to do some really laborious work. We had to go back to the array prototype, like this, array dot prototype, and then we used the map method like that by using the call function. So this function takes as a first parameter the value you want for this, which is going to be your string. All right, and so let's call the string str just to avoid any confusion. And then you specify the arguments of your map method. So let's say that we want a function. Okay, so I'm not going to use an arrow function. I'm going to use a simple function here because we said back to ES5. So, well, you can still use an arrow function. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to go for this syntax for now, the ES5 syntax. So let's say that the function takes a parameter x and returns x plus a, for example. All right. And now you get a new string. So that's really laborious. All right. So in ES6, instead of writing all that code, you can just convert the string to an array and then use the map method if you like. All right. So to convert an array to a string, you just use the from method of the array object, to which you pass the string. So now, if you do that, you're going to get a new array created from the string. So now you can use all sorts of methods which are attached to the array prototype. So you can use the map method, you can use the slice method, and so on. Right? So let's go back now to ES5 and understand why we still need to create arrays from other data types like collections. So here we've got 3 divs of class blue. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a collection of these elements by selecting all elements of class blue. So you can use a const here instead of let's. Not really, because we changed array afterwards, and that's fine as well. So in our collection, we're going to have all the elements of class blue. So if you log collection, you get an HTML collection. So now let's say that you want to get only one portion of the collection. For example, only the elements of index 1 and the elements of index 2. Now, if you had an array, you could do that using the slice method. But the slice method doesn't work with a collection. So if you try that, you get undefined. There is no slice method attached to a collection. So again, to do that, in ES5, you had to use the slice method attached to the array prototype. Okay. Like this. And then you had to use the call method to specify the value of this, which is going to be your collection. And then you pass the arguments of the slice function here. So we want to go from the elements of index 1 to the elements of index 2. So that's going to be from 1 to 3. All right, because this will go from the element 1 until 3 not included. All right, so now if we try this, you will get an array this time, and you get only the first, or the elements of index 1 and the elements of index 2. Now in ES6, you can convert the collection to an array and then use the slice method. All right, so to convert the collection, so you just use the array object from method and you pass the collection to it, like that. And this time you get an array. Now you can use the slice method as you like by attaching it to this element. All right, so this explains why you would need to create arrays from other objects which are similar to arrays. Now let's have a look at one more example, creating an array from function arguments. So let's create a function g, which takes a couple of parameters. So first, let's log the arguments. So let's call g of 1 and 2. So the arguments is an arguments element. It's not really an array. And you can see all elements inside the arguments. So you can see your parameters and so on. All right. So now if you want to convert the arguments to an array, again, you use array.from. All right, and you've got an array, and now you can use all sorts of methods which are attached to the array prototype. All right, so in the next video, you're going to learn some other features of the array.from method.